Welcome back everyone! Today I'll be showing you how to crochet this cute apple coaster. I've seen a few different variations of this pattern, but here's how I make mine. You can make it for yourself or gift it to your loved ones. I guarantee that they'll love it. Here's a live example. Scooter, do you like it? Without any further ado, let's begin. These are the materials that I used. The first thing we need to do is learn how to create a magic ring. First, bring your yarn in front of your two fingers like this. Wrap your yarn around as shown. Insert your hook into the top part and scoop out that other section of yarn. Twist your hook. Wrap your yarn around the hook and pull it through the loop. And we have just created our magic ring. Once you have your magic ring, we are going to start by chaining 2. So to chain, you just want to wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through that loop just like this. We're just going to do the same thing again to create our second chain. Then in our magic ring, we are going to create 12 double crochets. To start your double crochet, you want to wrap your yarn around the hook, insert your hook into the ring, wrap your yarn around the hook again, and pull through. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap your yarn around the hook again, and pull through the first 2 loops. You should now have 2 loops on your hook. Wrap your yarn around your hook one more time, and pull through both of those loops. Great work, you just made your first double crochet. We're just going to do this 11 more times in our magic ring. Wrap your yarn around the hook, insert your hook into the ring, wrap your yarn around the hook again, pull through, wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through 2 loops. Again, wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through your remaining 2 loops. And there's our second double crochet. So I'm just going to keep going and I'll meet you after I've finished my 12 double crochets. I've just finished my 12 double crochets in my magic ring. So I'm going to grab my tail end of my yarn and pull tightly to gather up all my stitches. Then to finish off this round, we are going to slip stitch back into our first stitch. To find our first stitch, you can see firstly our 2 chains that we made at the start. 1, 2, and the next stitch above those 2 chains will be our first stitch. That is where we're going to insert our hook. Wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through. And with our first loop, we're just going to thread it through the second loop. So that was our slip stitch and that was the end of our round 1. We're now going to start round 2, which is started off the same like the previous, and we're going to chain 2. Then we're going to put a double crochet into that next stitch. Instead of moving on to the next stitch, we are going to put another double crochet into the same stitch that we just did. So for the rest of this round, we are going to repeat the same pattern of putting 2 double crochets into each stitch. This act of putting 2 stitches into one space is called an increase, and that is how I'll be referring to it from now on. So we're almost done with this round. I can see the next stitch that I would be stitching into is the one with our 2 chains coming out of it from the start. And remember, theoretically, since each stitch should have an increase in it, I'm also going to put another double crochet into that stitch that has our 2 chains coming out of it as well. So that's looking really great. all we need to do is do another slip stitch to finish off our round. So we're going to disregard our 2 chains, and on the next stitch over, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and pull through again. And here is the end of round 2. Round 3 starts a lot like round 2, and we're going to first chain twice. We're going to put an increase in the first stitch, meaning 2 double crochets, into that 1 stitch. In the next stitch though, we're just going to put 1 double crochet in there. For the rest of this round, we are going to keep repeating this pattern of alternating between an increase and then 1 single double crochet until the end of the row. So I'm going to keep going and I'll meet you towards the end of this round. So we're almost there. In our next stitch, it's our turn to put in an increase. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets in that space. Then we're ready to finish off our round by inserting our hook into the stitch above our 2 chains and finish off the slip stitch like we've been doing. This is the end of round 3. To start round 4, first we're going to chain 2. We are going to do an increase in the first stitch with our 2 double crochets in the same stitch. The next 2 stitches, we're going to put 1 double crochet in them each. So here's our first one in the next stitch. And we're going to move on to the stitch after to do another double crochet. So for the rest of this round, we are going to repeat the same pattern of doing an increase in the first stitch and then a double crochet in the next stitch and another double crochet in the one after that, and keep repeating this pattern. I just have 1 more double crochet to go. And we're ready to finish off this round again. So looking for your 2 chains and skipping those, and we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch after those chains. Then we can finish off our slip knot after that. And that's round 4 complete. Round 5 is the last pale yellow round. To start it off, we're going to chain 2. And then we're going to put an increase of 2 double crochets into that first stitch. For the next 3 stitches, we're going to put 1 double crochet into each of the 3 stitches. Okay, that was rough. Onto our 3rd double crochet. For the rest of this row, we are going to alternate between an increase in the first stitch and then 3 separate double crochets. And this pattern will continue until the very end of this round. We'll meet again towards the end of this round where I'll show you how to do a color change. So we're at a point where we have 2 double crochets to go. So here's our first one. And for the very last one, we're going to start our double crochet. But right when we have 2 loops on our hook, just hold off for now. This is where we're going to do our color change into our red yarn. So position the tail of your red yarn as shown. Wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through the 2 loops of the yellow yarn. We're now going to go back to our 2 chains and look for the next stitch after. This is where we're going to insert our hook. Wrap your yarn around and pull through, and finishing off that slip stitch. Now that we successfully completed our color change, we can start round 6. To start round 6, we're going to chain just 1. Then in the next stitch, we're going to make a single crochet. To start a single crochet, insert your hook into the stitch. Wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through. You'll see 2 loops on your hook now. Wrap your yarn around the hook again and pull through both of those loops. You have just completed your first single crochet. We're going to go ahead and do another single crochet in the next stitch. So insert your hook, wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through. Wrap your yarn again and pull through 2 loops. Next we are going to do an increase in the next stitch, which means 2 single crochets in that 1 stitch. Here's my first one. And my second one will go into the same stitch as the one before. For the rest of this round, we are going to keep repeating the pattern of having 1 single crochet in the first stitch, another single crochet in the next stitch, and then an increase on the 3rd stitch, and the pattern will repeat. And once you have a bit of your red yarn established, we can cut our yellow yarn off. We can continue crocheting with our red yarn. And again, I'll meet you towards the end of this round. I'm almost finished with my red apple peel. There's just a couple more single crochets to go. When we reach the start again, remember we only chained 1 at the start of this round, so we are going to skip that 1 chain and insert our hook into the next stitch after that. Wrap your yarn around the hook, pull through, and pull the first loop through the second, and our round is complete. We're going to snip off this yarn and pull on our hook until the yarn is all the way through. It's looking pretty great. I'm now going to tie my yarn tails together. And we are going to work on weaving all our tails back into our work, so it is nice and seamless. You can sort of freehand this step. One useful tip is try and weave in your yarn tails to the corresponding color. For example, if you have a red color tail, try and weave it back into the red sections. This creates a nicer finish. We have now completed the base of the apple. Now it's time to make the stem part with our brown yarn. To start your stem, we are going to create a slip knot. Bring that tail end towards the back to create a loop. Then in that loop, you want to insert your fingers, grab the tail end of your yarn, and pull tight as shown to create a knot. And the knot should have a loop on the end of it. That's where we're going to insert our hook and pull tighter. Not too tight, but nice and tight enough to be snug on our hook. Then grab the rest of your work and we're going to insert our hook in a spot right below the apple peel. Once you've done that, we are going to wrap your yarn around the hook and pull through everything, including your slip knot, so we should only have one loop left on our hook. We are going to make 7 chains. Remember to make a chain, wrap your yarn around the hook, and pull through. We want to do this 7 times in a row to have 7 chains in total. So it's a little bit hard to see with the dark color of the yarn, but you want to ignore the closest chain from your hook and find the second chain from your hook. That's where we're going to insert our hook. Then wrap your yarn around and pull through the first loop as well as the second loop, as you can see here. You should only have one loop left on your hook after that. We're going to do the same thing. Insert your hook into the next chain, wrap your yarn around, and pull through the first and second loop. So continue this all the way down the length of our stem, and I'll meet you towards the end again. Once you've made it all through the length of the stem, insert your hook into that very first loop on the apple itself. Wrap your yarn around, pull through, and pull through again. For the last step, we are going to chain one more time. Grab your scissors, and we're going to snip off the rest of the yarn. Then you can pull on your hook like I did, and pull on the tail to tighten. So that's our stem all done. I'm now going to show you how to create the leaf that goes with the stem. To start the leaf, we're going to create another slip knot. So first create the loop, then you want to insert your fingers into the loop. Grab the tail end of the yarn and pull tighter so you see a knot forming. Insert your hook and pull your yarn tighter so it's nice and snug on your hook. The next step is to chain 7 times in a row. All done with the chains. Again, skip the first chain from the hook and insert your hook into the one after. We are going to put a slip stitch in the stitch, so wrap your yarn around your hook and pull through each of the 2 loops. The next stitch is a single crochet. Insert your hook into the next stitch, wrap your yarn around and pull through, wrap your yarn around and pull through 2 loops. Next is a half double crochet. Wrap your yarn around, insert into the next stitch, wrap your yarn around and pull through so you have 3 loops on your hook. Finally, wrap your yarn around and pull through all 3 loops in one go. In the next stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and we already know how to do a double crochet. We should have one last chain remaining, and that's where we're going to put 4 double crochets in a row. I'm all done with my 4 double crochets, and if you flip your work a little bit, you should be able to see the other side of the last chain. That's where we're going to put 4 more double crochets. After that's done, in the next stitch, we're going to put in 2 double crochets. In the next stitch, we're going to put in 1 half double crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to put in 1 single crochet. And finally, we're going to slip stitch to join everything together. When you're ready, just grab your scissors and chop off the rest of the yarn. And you have just created your leaf. It's looking really cute. Before I attach my leaf to the rest of my apple, there's a yarn tail close to the tip of my leaf that I want to weave in with the rest of the leaf. So I'm just going to do that now. This is what it's looking like now. Let's attach it to the rest of our apple. Start by inserting your hook into the part of the apple where you want the leaf to go. Then thread through that yarn tail to the other side. If you're happy with the placement of the leaf, you can tie the loose tails together. And at this stage, you can start to weave in some of these loose ends. I'll also show you how to do the final step, which is the seeds that are in the middle of our apple. For this step, it's a good idea to use a yarn needle, but it's possible to use a crochet hook if you really don't have one. We're going to thread the yarn through the needle and get it ready for sewing. And you just want to insert your needle into a spot on the apple where you want to see the seeds. Go over it multiple times so that the seed is not too narrow. You can keep going until you have your desired thickness of the seed. And you're just going to do the same thing for the other side. When you're done, you can tie the tails together so that the seeds are nice and secure. You can choose to weave in your ends, but I personally chose to leave it as is. And this marks the end of your apple coaster. I'm so proud of you for getting through this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy using or gifting your coaster. Please subscribe if you enjoyed making this project to see more fresh project ideas. I'll see you next time.